Good morning, everybody. This is John Warren, Associate Professor of Clarinet at Kennesaw State, and I'd like to talk to you today about the Symphonic Band Etude for the 2018 All-State GMEA auditions. This etude is the second year of this new cycle of etudes. It is not particularly difficult, which makes it a challenge for musicians auditioning in that a lot of people are going to be able to play all the notes. So we really have to find the music in this, and we're also going to be relying more heavily on our fundamentals: sound, musicianship, technique, and rhythm. And I think the past couple of years, sight reading plays an increasing role in seating the band. So I'd like to play the first section, the lyrical section, and then afterwards I'll kind of go through bar by bar and offer a few suggestions for helping your preparation for a really fine audition. I think one of the challenges in a piece like this lyrical etude in the key of E major, not a very clarinet-friendly key, is to make it sound smooth and beautiful as if it were in F or C major. Lots of little fingers, lots of things to think about on the fingering front. I think we have to use very soft fingers, squeeze keys rather than tap them, and that's the first line of defense, I think, in making this sound very beautiful. This is a combination of quarters, eighths, triplets, and sixteenths, which makes it a little more difficult. If we were just doing things that divided in half, this is a much easier piece, but we have to make sure that triplets, sixteenths, and eighths all move against a steady beat. So as you're thinking, so transitioning between a nice steady triplet and a set of nice steady sixteenths is the first challenge here. I think in a key like this, we also have to be constantly doing something with our sound, whether it's increasing, blowing more, getting louder, getting more intense, or backing away. So there should never be a time in this piece, even the times that nothing is marked, which aren't very many, where you're not either pushing more sound or coming away. So to talk through this kind of bar by bar, bar one, let's make sure that it's a good rhythmic relationship between triplets and sixteenths. Don't pulse beat two with your breath to help yourself out. Crescendo through that whole bar really markedly, and then at the end of bar two, a nice lift. Don't chop the note off. Take a nice quick but quiet breath, move on. Same thing. Bars 3 and 4 are the same kind of deal. As we get to bar 5, blow air through those sixteenths. Don't be stagnant. Bar 6, the first and second B naturals should be forked, fingered like this, the third one in the middle. As we get up through the retard bar, make it really obvious that you're slowing down and filling up with sound. I think when adjudicators hear a bunch of people, the people who stand out are the people who really go the extra mile. So I think in a case like this, more is more. Okay? A good breath and a nice gentle pickup to bar 7, and then we're the same as we were at the beginning. Good air, good rhythm, and at the very end, don't shy away from that high E, support your sound, fill up to the very top. If your high E sounds wonderful, milk it for a little more time. If it feels a little like maybe today is not the day, then play it and be done. So good luck on this. Sound as beautiful as you can, and next we'll talk a little bit about the technical etude. The technical etude this year is in the key of G minor. No real surprises here, not as complicated as some years past. So a lot of people are going to be able to play all these notes. So let me have a pass through here, play it for you, and then go through it and give you some ideas for your work. So, things to think about in this technical etude. First of all, I think you need to represent really mature clarinet playing. So, when the piece is forte, really fill up with sound. Let judges know that you are a fine, mature player that can really produce sound when called for. Things I think about during this etude. Despite the staccato marks, I don't think about playing this too short. If things are pecky, it really kind of bogs down. So I am using kind of a medium articulation. Not so much. And I think a very good practice tip for this set of notes is, despite all the articulation, do a lot of practice slurred. Now, why would I do that? I do that because getting good, steady air through the horn is really the first thing that needs to happen in order to have fine articulation. If you have weak air or unsteady air, that's only going to make things way more difficult. So I do a lot of slurring as I practice this, and I don't play it too terribly short. As I'm looking through here, every little detail, the low-hanging fruit, accents in bar 4, the last note, not just but, you know, something that kind of crackles with excitement, especially when you're asked to make an accent in a spot that you wouldn't necessarily expect it. When we drop down to piano, keep the crispness of the sound, even in the piano dynamic, and really push through the chromatic scales or the nearly chromatic scales. In the third line of this, bar 11, 12, 13, kind of the longest stretch of technique. Again, fill up with sound, not too short, lots of slurring in practice, plenty of slow practice. You know, I don't feel like you need to be playing this at tempo before Christmas Day. The more you do of good, solid, basic bass work, you know, from about 80 on up, the more solid your quick playing is going to be when the time comes. I never listen to my high school players play these etudes before November. We spend August, September, October learning how to play the clarinet better and then transfer that. It's very easy to get burned out on these. So intersperse this with other music that you enjoy playing, etudes, a lot of sight reading. You know, work on sight reading with your private instructor if you have one. If not, work on it with your band director or a friend, or at the very minimum, plenty by yourself. There's tons of music on the internet you can download, and no excuse not to do plenty of sight reading, because I think that's going to play a big part in who gets what sort of chair this year in the band. When we get down to measure 16, same material from the beginning, but we go from piano to forte over the course of a bar instead of loud the whole time. So you want to really, you got to work hard to make that happen. Crescendo early and often and big. If you look, the second to last line, bar 25, not quite a chromatic scale, right? The F sharp from the very first note of the scale is also the last note of that bar. So it is not all fully chromatic. We skip F natural. That's the rules of the road. 1 octave change is seen in all octaves. The next bar, same thing, except this is truly a chromatic scale, and I think it should, since it's starting a little higher, be even a little more forceful. And then at the very end, the last 1, 2, 3, 4 bars, take careful note of the articulation, play exactly what's there. You want to, it doesn't necessarily, it's not the best articulation or the only articulation that makes sense musically, but it's the articulation that's written. And again, that's low-hanging fruit, reproducing what's on the page. And I think, you know, you've got to set yourself apart from other people, which is something I tell my high school students. It's interesting. If you hear 100 people in a round to pick 50 people, there's kind of a, as a judge, you hear a classic bell curve of performances. You might hear 20 players who are clearly very fine players and are going to make the band. You're going to hear 20 clarinet players who are not so good and are can be discounted. That leaves you 60 players for 30 spots, and on any given day, any of those players can be 21st or be left out in the cold. So you need to find a way to haul yourself out of that middle group and into the more elite playing, and you do that by really showing off. You know, you've got to be a bit of an actor here. Every crescendo, every hairpin is observed. Every accent is popped maybe a little more than you even think you need to, because what you think you do, especially when you're under pressure, never comes off quite as much as you think it does. So I hope these tips have been helpful, and I wish all of you good luck for a really successful GMEA All-State audition. I'm John Warren, Associate Professor of Clarinet here at Kennesaw State, and I'd like to invite you anytime you'd like to come out to Kennesaw, have a look around, have a free lesson, see what we've got going on out here clarinet-wise, you can reach me through the music office. We have a whole day of clarinet on April 15th that you are most cordially invited to. Sign up online, and it'll be a 9 to 5 day with myself, a guest artist. The Terra Winds Clarinet Choir will be here, and hope to see lots and lots. We get 50 or 60 clarinet players in a room. Everybody performs in a concert at the end of the day. It's a lot of fun. Vendors, gear to try, free reads, that should get you out here. Lunch, t-shirt, very cool fashion-forward t-shirt for Clarinet Day. So hope to see you out here at Kennesaw, and good luck in your All-State preparations. Thanks for listening.